The HOA president trespassed onto my property without permission and hacked apart my 20-year-old white oak tree. And all of this happened because a handful of dry leaves were drifting into her picture-perfect swimming pool. She actually stood on the stump laughing before telling me, "See, I told you I'd fix the problem." She treated it like she'd chopped down a useless log. She had no idea the tree she mutilated was a protected heritage species under state law. And she definitely didn't realize the penalty wasn't going to be a couple of hundred. When I finally handed her the court notice demanding $1 million in damages, the color vanished from her face and her whole world started collapsing. My name is Alex, and the house I live in isn't just some structure made of walls and windows. My grandfather bought it back in 1980. It's part of my family's history, but the real treasure of the property wasn't the house at all. It was the backyard, specifically the enormous, breathtaking white oak that stood proudly near the fence line. That tree was over 2 centuries old. It existed long before the house, before the subdivision, before any of us were even born. For generations, it provided shade, peace, and a sense of rootedness. But everything changed the day Linda moved in next door. Linda wasn't just a neighbor. She became the newly elected HOA president, and she made sure every living soul within 5 houses knew it. She was the kind of person who seemed to despise anything natural. In her mind, grass should resemble artificial turf, and trees were meant only for photographs, not for actual yards. The battle began when Linda installed a swimming pool pressed right up against my property line. When autumn arrived, a gentle breeze would blow a few leaves from my oak tree into her pool. It was normal nature being nature, but to Linda, this was nothing short of a personal attack. One week ago, she banged on my front door like she was leading a raid. I opened the door to find her face twisted with fury. "That stupid tree of yours," she shrieked. "3 leaves, I found 3 leaves in my skimmer basket today. I want that thing cut down immediately." I try to remain calm. "Linda, that tree is 200 years old. It's on my land, and more importantly, it's registered with the county as a heritage tree. I literally cannot cut it down. It's protected by law." "Don't quote laws at me," she snapped. "I'm the HOA president. I make the rules around here. If you won't remove it, I'll hire someone who will rip it out by the roots myself." I stared right back at her. "Linda, if you or anyone you bring steps even 1 foot onto my property, I will call the police for trespassing. Do not touch my tree," she stormed off, muttering threats under her breath. I assumed that would be the end of it. I thought even she couldn't possibly be reckless enough to commit a felony over a few leaves. I was wrong. 3 days later, I was at work when my phone buzzed. It was a motion alert from my backyard camera. I was in the middle of a meeting, so I ignored it, assuming it was an animal. But when I drove home that afternoon, something felt wrong the moment I turned onto my street. The skyline looked off. There was an emptiness where the branches used to stretch. I parked, sprinted to the backyard, and froze. My grandfather's tree, our family's heritage, was gone. The massive trunk lay across the yard, sliced clean at the base. Sawdust covered the grass like a layer of snow. Branches were strewn everywhere. The sharp scent of freshly cut wood hung in the air like a crime scene. It was a full-on slaughter, and standing right there beside the stump was Linda. She was laughing into her phone. "Yes, I finally got rid of that eyesore," she was saying. "Now my pool will stay clean." Then she spotted me and flashed a smug, satisfied grin. "See, Alex, I told you I would take action. You can thank me later for cleaning up your yard. I'll send you the bill for the work too." My blood was boiling. Every instinct screamed at me to shout or drag her off my land, but I forced myself to breathe. Losing my temper now would only give her ammunition. I needed to handle this carefully. Without saying a word, I pulled out my phone and recorded her standing proudly beside the stump. I filmed the destruction, the damage, the evidence, and then walked silently into my house. "What's wrong?" she taunted from across the yard. "Cat got your tongue." Next time, she said, I should listen to my president. She had no idea that silence can be the sharpest weapon of all. I wasn't calling the police. Not yet. I was calling a certified arborist and the most vicious property attorney in the entire state. For the next 48 hours, Linda strutted around the neighborhood with her shoulders back and her ego inflated. She genuinely believed she'd won. She thought I was too intimidated to do anything. But behind the scenes, a storm was brewing. I hired the city's most respected arborist. He arrived, inspected the scene, and documented every detail. He measured the stump's diameter, counted and confirmed the tree rings to verify age, and identified the species beyond doubt. When the official report was ready, my lawyer invited me in to review it. He had a smile that was both reassuring and terrifying at the same time. "Alex," he said, tapping the report, "this wasn't just any tree. This was a fully mature white oak. In the world of landscaping, a tree of this size and age is essentially irreplaceable. To even attempt calculating its value," he leaned back, "we're looking at a base estimate of 80. Oh, I nodded slowly. "That's a lot." "Oh, I'm not done," he chuckled. "In our state, we have something called tree law, specifically a statute about timber trespass. If someone intentionally destroys a tree on your land," and she literally bragged about doing it, "the court applies treble damages." "Treble?" I asked. "Triple," he clarified, "3 times the tree's value." He tapped the paper. "That puts us at 24, but then he kept going, flipping through documents. Because the tree sat on a slope, its roots were stabilizing the earth. Removing it creates a serious erosion hazard. You'll need a structural retaining wall, about $50,000. Add emotional distress, attorney fees, and the cost of having the trunk removed. Since she left it on your land," he slid a sheet of paper toward me. "Once we include punitive damages for the intentional trespass and her violation of HOA covenants, this lawsuit totals just over $1 million. I closed the folder. Let's go share the news with Linda. Sunday morning was the monthly HOA meeting. Linda stood on stage lecturing the community about preserving the neighborhood's visual standards. I stepped into the hall, the doors shut behind me with a heavy thud. Drawing every eye in the room, I carried a thick legal binder. Linda called out, my voice echoing. She turned toward me and sneered into the mic. Oh look, it's Alex. Did you finally come to pay me for the tree removal service? No, I said, walking straight down the center aisle. I'm here to repay you. I reached the stage and dropped the legal notice onto the table in front of her. The slam echoed. You've been served. What is this nonsense? She scoffed, snatching the papers. She skimmed the first page and the arrogance drained from her face. Her hands trembled. Her skin turned ghostly white. $500 million. Are you insane? It was a protected heritage tree, I said, speaking clearly into the microphone so everyone could hear. And since you trespassed to destroy it, you committed a felony. This is a lien notice. A lien, she whispered. Yes, I said calmly. We've placed a lien on your property until you pay the damages listed in the lawsuit. Your home, your vehicle, and that precious swimming pool technically belong to me. The room fell into absolute silence. Linda whipped her head toward the board members, her voice cracking. Help me, the HOA is covering this, right? I did it for the neighborhood. The treasurer stood immediately. Absolutely not, Linda. You acted without approval. You broke the law on your own. The HOA is not responsible for your crimes. Linda collapsed into her chair, sobbing uncontrollably. In that instant, she finally realized her arrogance had destroyed her life. What followed was swift. The evidence was overwhelming. Linda didn't have a spare $1 million to hand over. She was forced into bankruptcy. She had to sell her house, the very home she tried to improve, just to pay the judgment. And the best part, the new homeowners are wonderful people. They care about nature. Using the settlement money, planted 10 young saplings along the property line. As for Linda, she now lives in a cramped apartment complex across town. No yard, no pool, no trees. Karma doesn't always strike immediately, but when it does, it hits with force. She believed she was above the law. Instead, she learned a $1 million lesson. We expose entitled behavior every week on this channel. Be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a story. See you in the next video.